If you struggle to make your drawings look good, then today you're at the right place, because in this video I will be sharing the NFE framework that I use to improve my architectural drawings. Hey guys, my name is Alex, I'm an architect in London, and on this channel we explore tools and tactics to improve our architectural design process. And if you're interested in design, you'll know that drawing is one of the quickest and nicest ways to convey your design ideas. But you probably also know the feeling of not liking what you have drawn and how it can hold you back from designing architecture that you're proud of. Luckily, whilst at university, I learned that the great way to deal with this problem is through what I call the NFE framework. Now, before we dive in, there are a couple of concepts that we should understand. First of all, there's no such thing as bad drawing, there's only bad design. And this is because in architecture, the purpose of drawing is to illustrate design intent. And therefore, when we think about improving our drawings, we really should be focusing on making sure that the drawing matches the design proposal or the stage that design is at. And therefore, the question really is, how do we make sure that the quality of our drawing matches our design intent? So the first part of the NFE framework is the narrative. A narrative is about starting with the end in mind. And what it means is that every drawing has to have a purpose. Like, you have to have an understanding what the drawing is for. Is it for crit, tutorial? Is it for the final presentation? Does it have to be polished and detailed, or can be rough and ready? Those are the kind of questions you need to ask yourself. So the objective with this is to define the minimum required input and the minimum required amount of time and effort you need to put in your drawing. So even let's say that your drawing end up looking like complete mess, like a drunk chicken's handwriting, that's okay, as long as the design intent is conveyed with that sketch or drawing. Now, the second aspect of the narrative is the composition. And there's this unwritten rule about the composition that says that even if the drawing is done really well technically, but its composition is not balanced, then it's gonna look like crap. And the reverse is also true. Even if the drawing is not really well developed technically, but it's well composed on the page, then it's deemed to look really good. So the second part of the NFE framework is the format. And format is really about the practice of the drawing that kind of boils down to two things. It's about using your drawing time efficiently, and it's also about cultivating the confidence in your drawing skills. So practically this means that whenever you start drawing something, never start with a blank page. Always try to have some kind of underlay under your drawing, like a photograph or a 3D model, and then you can start overlaying that image using trace paper or in the iPad. And with that as well, realize that drawings don't have to be perfect. In fact, it's more appealing to the eye when the drawing has some mistakes in it, because it adds up to the interest and to the busyness in the drawing. It makes it a bit more vibrant. So I would say that if your drawing is 80% kind of well done and only 20% of that drawing are mistakes, then I think that's pretty good drawing, and it makes it more interesting to look at. It also means that you're not going to be spending time overlaying these drawings endlessly until you get to the perfect stage. You're going to save time by accepting those mistakes and realizing that if there are some mistakes, it's going to make the whole thing more appealing. And actually, more mistakes are noticed in the very beginning of the sketch. So if you think about it, how many drawings have you started just to abandon them because you made one mistake at the very beginning? Like, it's really mind-boggling how many drawings I have discarded just because one line didn't go exactly the way I wanted. But every time I finished the drawing that initially went wrong, I was quite happy with the result, and it looked nicer as well. So every time you do a sketch, make sure that you actually finish that sketch before you start judging it. I remember my high school teacher used to say that when it comes to drawing, it's always better to say less than absolutely necessary. It is actually better to not say the full story with the drawing, but to leave some of the things out. Like, for example, in movies, you never see the whole life of a character. You can only see the fraction of his life, and that adventure is captured in a movie, and even that adventure itself is kind of cut and edited so that it's interesting to watch. So I would encourage you to approach drawing in a similar fashion, to really think about what are the bits that are really important to the narrative I'm trying to tell, what bits are really going to convey my design, and focus on those things. So basically, if in doubt, don't draw everything, draw just the most important things. This also has like an additional benefit that you can always add more detail later, but it's very hard when it comes to drawing to actually subtract some of that detail and declutter the drawing. I should also stress that practicing your drawing skills is the single best activity you can do as an an architect. Basically, drawing skills to the architect are as important as writing skills to the author. Like, it's that critical. So I really would encourage you to practice your drawing skills, even if it's just, you know, a couple of minutes a day. It really will sharpen up your thinking skills when it comes to architecture. In fact, I made this video on how to sketch like an architect, so check that out and I'll see you on the other side.